From the Rio Grande Valley, good morning, good evening, across the nation, around the world. I'm your host, Mikey, and you're tuned into Out of the Ordinary on PBDC TV. What's going on, guys? I know I had said last Monday that I wasn't going to do it live because I had certain things that I had to do, errands that I had to run and stuff. But no, I'm here. Like I said, I come with surprises. So let's see. Let's see what. Okay, so then I wasn't going to go on tonight because we had a tropical storm headed our way. And, well, it turns out, thank goodness, nothing hit the valley. So here I am now. And I say, welcome, Nadine Salazar. Hello. And hello to whoever's on the Out of the Ordinary page. Hi. What's up, Cosmo? Love you too, man. Love you too. All right, man. Let's get into this. So tonight we're going to be talking about two people with kind of the same name and kind of, the same features. Except one was a mathematician and the other one was a Brazilian student who went missing. What do they have related? That is soon to come. So let's get into this. First, we're going to get into the first person. Giordano Bruno, born Filippo Bruno, a.k.a. Giordano Bruno. That's one name, though. That's hard to spell. So, born January or February of 1548 and died the 17th of February of 1600. Let's just call him Filippo. He was an Italian Dominican farrier, philosopher, mathematician, poet, cosmological theorist, and hermetic occultist. He is known for his cosmological theories, which conceptually extend in the then novel Copernican model. He proposed that the stars were distant suns surrounded by their own planets, and he raised the possibility that these planets might foster life of their own, a cosmological position known as cosmic pluralism. He also insisted that the universe is infinite and could have no center. So let's get into some comments here. Aka, what's going on? And Mike Phelps, hi, welcome. Starting in 1593, Bruno was tried for heresy by the Roman Inquisition on charges of denial of several core Catholic doctrines, including eternal damnation, the Trinity, the divinity of Christ, the virginity of Mary, and the transubstantiation. Bruno's pantheism was not taken lightly by the church, nor was his teaching of the transmigration of the soul, reincarnation. Hi, Natalie. No worries, you're not that late. I'm not too far into it yet. And then Mod says, so he had lots of questions, as one should. Yes, he questioned everything here. And he was tried for heresy for it. So the Inquisition found him guilty, and he was burned at the stake in Rome's Campo di Fiori in 1600. After his death, he gained considerable fame, being particularly celebrated by 19th and early 20th century commemorators who regarded him as a martyr for science. Now, Let me tell you something. That whole thing about people celebrating him, I am going to talk to you about somebody in particular in after this. So let's get more into Mr. Bruno here. Although most historians that agree that his heresy trial was not a response to his cosmological views, but rather a response to his religious and afterlife views. And see, there are some scriptures there that he actually wrote in and stuff. He has a book of his own, and yeah, he was very much into witchcraft and stuff like that. Like this guy was a pretty big deal. So, however, some historians do contend that the main reason for Bruno's death was indeed his cosmological views. Bruno's case is still considered a landmark in the history of free thought and the emerging sciences. Hi, Kisa. In addition to cosmology, Bruno also wrote extensively on the art of memory, a loosely organized group of mnemonic techniques and principles. Historian Francis Yates argues that Bruno was deeply influenced by Islamic astrology, particularly the philosophy of Averroes, Neopla- Neoplatonism, Renaissance, and Hermeticism, and Genesis like legends surrounding the Egyptian god Thoth. Other studies of Bruno have focused on his qualitative approach to mathematics and his application of the spatial concepts of geometry to language. And now a bit about his background. Like I said, born Filippo Bruno in Nola, not New Orleans, a commune in the modern day province of Naples, the southern Italian region of Campania, the part of the Kingdom of Naples, in 1548. He was the son of Giovanni Bruno, a soldier, and a Fralissa Savolino. In his youth, he was sent to Naples to be educated. He was tutored privately at the Augustin monastery there and attended public lectures at the Stadium of General. At the age of 17, he entered the Dominican order at the monastery of San Domenico Maggiore in Naples, taking the name Giordano after Giordano Crispo, his metaphysics tutor. Okay, so he continued his studies there, completing his novitiate and became an ordained priest in 1572 at the age of 24. During his time in Naples, he became known for his skill with the art of memory and on one occasion traveled to Rome to demonstrate his mnemonic system before Pope Pius V and Cardinal Reba or Rebiba. In his later years, Bruno claimed that the Pope accepted his dedication to him of the lost work of the Ark of Noah at this time. And Mott says Cardinal Reba. No, Cardinal Rabiba. Here's your one chance. Don't let me do. While Bruno was distinguished for outstanding ability, his taste for free thinking and forbidden books soon caused him difficulties. Given the controversies he caused in later life, it is surprising that he was able to remain within the monastic system for 11 years. In his testimony to Venetian inquisitors during his trial, many years later, he says that the proceedings were twice taken against him for having cast away images of the saints, retaining only a crucifix, and for having recommended controversial text to a novice. Such behavior could perhaps be overlooked, but Bruno's situation became much more serious when he was reported to have defended the Arian heresy and and when a copy of the banned writings of Erasmus, annotated by him, was discovered hidden in the monastery latrine. When he learned that an indictment was being prepared against him in Naples, he fled, shedding his religious habits, and at least for a time. Fettuccine, anyone? So, his first years of wandering, from 1576 to 1583, Bruno first went to the Genoese port of Noli, then to Savina, Turin, and finally to Venice, where he published his lost work on the signs of the times with the permission, so he claimed at his trial, of the Dominican Remigio Nannini Fiorentino. From Venice, he went to Padua, where he met fellow Dominicans who convinced him to wear his religious habit again. From Padua, he went to Bergamo, and then across the Alps to Chambéry and Lyon. His movements after this time are obscure. In 1579, he arrived in Geneva as D.W. Singer. A Bruno biographer notes, the question has sometimes been raised as to whether Bruno became a Protestant, but is intrinsically most unlikely that he accepted memberships in Calvin's communion. Hey, where's Calvin at? His name's on here. During his Mathematician trial, he told inquisitors that while in Geneva, he told the Marquis de Vico of Naples, who was notable for helping Italian refugees in Geneva, I did not intend to adopt the religion of the city. I desire to stay there only that I might live at liberty in security. Bruno had a pair of breeches made for himself at the Marquis, and others apparently made Bruno a gift of a sword, hat, cape, and other necessities for dressing himself. In such clothing, Bruno could no longer be recognized as a priest. Things apparently went well for Bruno for a time, as he entered his name in Rector's Book of the University of Geneva in May 1579. But keeping with his personality, he could not long remain silent. In August, he published an attack on the work of Antoine de la Fay, a distinguished professor. He and the printer were promptly arrested. So, yes, breeches, undies, or pants. Yes. Holy pants. And then Keith says, I think it's what? Sicilian style. Okay. And then Mod says, holy breeches. So rather than apologizing, Bruno insisted on continuing to defend his publications. He was refused the right to take the sacrament, though this was right eventually restored as he left Geneva. He went to France, arriving first in Lyon and then thereafter settling for a time from 1580 to 1581 in Toulouse, where he took his doctorate in theology and was elected by students to lecture in philosophy. It seems he also attempted at this time to return to Catholicism, but was denied absolution by the Jesuit priest he approached. When religious strife broke out in summer of 1581, he moved to Paris. There he held a cycle of 30 lectures on theological topics and also began to gain fame for his prodigious memory. Bruno's feats of memory were based, at least in part, on his elaborate system of mnemonics. I mean, but some of his contemporaries found it easier to attribute them to magical powers. His talents attracted the benevolent attention of the King Henry III. The king summoned him to the court. Bruno subsequently reported, "I got me such a name that King Henry summoned me one day to discover from me the memory which I possessed was natural or acquired by magic art. I satisfied him that it did not come from sorcery, but from organized knowledge. And following this, I got a book on memory printed, entitled The Shadows of Ideas, which I dedicated to His Majesty. Forthwith he gave me extraordinary lectureship with a salary." In Paris, Bruno enjoyed the protection of his powerful French pardons. During this period, he published several works on mnemonics, including De Umbris Idearum, on the shadow of ideas, in 1582, Ars Memoriae, the art of memory, in 1582, and Cantus Chrycaeus, Cirque's song, in 1582. All of these were based on his mnemonics model of organized knowledge and experience, as opposed to the simplistic logic-based mnemonics techniques of Petrus Ramus. Then becoming popular, Bruno also published a comedy summarizing some of his philosophical positions, titled Two Candeleo. Hey, Calvin, you're here, dude. What's going on, man? And no problem. I understand. Whew, two, huh? Handful. So, in the 16th century, dedications were, as a rule, approved beforehand, and hence were the way of placing a work under the protection of an individual. Given that Bruno dedicated various works to the likes of King Henry III, Sir Philip Sidney, Michael de Castellano, French ambassador to England, and possibly Pope Pius V, if I'm saying that correct, VS5. Sorry, I'm not really well educated on my Roman numerals. It is apparent that this wanderer has risen sharply in status and moved in powerful circles. So, some authors have characterized Bruno as martyr of science, suggest parallels with the Galileo affairs, which began around 1610. It should not be supposed, writes A.M. Patterson of Bruno and his heliocentric solar system, that he reached his conclusions via some mystical revelation. His work is an essential part of the scientific philosophical developments that he initiated. Patterson echoes Hegel in writing that Bruno ushers a modern theory of knowledge that understands all natural things in the universe to be known by the human mind through the mind's dialectical structure. So let's go to the comments here. Calvin says, I got a four and a grandson. There is another dude. Oh, wow. Congrats, Calvin. Ingengo writes that Bruno embraced the philosophy of Lucretius, aimed at liberating man from the fear of death and the gods. Characters in Bruno's caused principle and unity desire to improve speculative science and knowledge of natural things, and to achieve a philosophy which brings about the perfection of the human intellect most easily and eminently, and most closely corresponds to the truth of nature. Other scholars oppose such views and claim Bruno's martyrdom to science to be exaggerated or outright false. For Yeats, while 19th century liberals were thrown into ecstasies over Bruno's Copernicism, Bruno pushes Copernicus' scientific works back to pre-scientific stage. Hi, Beth. How you doing? Back into Hermetism, interpreting the Copernican diagram as a hieroglyph of divine mysteries. According to historian Mordecai Fingold, both admirers and critics of Giordano Bruno basically agree that he was pompous and arrogant, highly valuing his opinions and showing little patience with anyone who even mildly disagreed with him. Discussing Bruno's experience of rejection when he visited Oxford University, Fingold suggests that it might have been Bruno's manner, his language, and his self-assertiveness rather than his ideas that caused offense. Now we get to where the theological heresy. In his lectures on the history of philosophy, Hegel writes that Bruno's life represented a bold rejection of all Catholic beliefs resting on mere authority. Oh, that sucks to hear, Beth. I'm sorry. I hope you feel better. Thanks for tuning in, though. Rest up. Alfonso Ingengo states that Bruno's philosophy challenges the developments of the Reformation, calls into question the truth value of the whole of Christianity, and claims that Christ perpetrated a deceit on mankind. Bruno suggests that we can now recognize that the universal law which controls the perpetual becoming of all things and infinite universe. A.M. Patterson says that while we no longer have a copy of the official papal condemnation of Bruno, his heresies included the doctrine of the infinite universe and the innumerable worlds, and his beliefs on the movement of Earth. Michael White notes that the Inquisition may have pursued Bruno early in his life on the basis of his opposition to Aristotle. Interest in Arianism, reading the Erasmus, and possession of the banned text, White considers Bruno's later heresy was multifaceted. I'm not too good on these words here, and may have rested on his conception of infinite worlds. This was perhaps the most dangerous notion of all. If other worlds existed with intelligent beings living there, did they too have their visitations? The idea was quite unthinkable. Francis Yates rejects what she describes as legend that Bruno was prosecuted as a philosophical thinker, was burned for his daring views on innumerable worlds or on the movement of the earth. Yates, however, writes that the church was perfectly within its rights if it included philosophical points in its condemnation of Bruno's heresies, because the philosophical points were quite inseparable from their heresies. So, according to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy in 1600, there was no official Catholic position on the Copernican system, and it was certainly not a heresy when Bruno was burned at the stake as a heretic. It had nothing to do with his writings in support of Copernican cosmology. The website of the Vatican Apostolic Archive, discussing a summary of legal proceedings against Bruno in Rome, states, in the same rooms where Giordano Bruno was questioned for the same important reasons of the relationships between science and faith, at the dawning of the new astronomy at the decline of Aristotle's philosophy. 16 years later, Cardinal Bellaromeo, who then contested Bruno's heretical thesis, summoned Galileo Galilei, who also faced a famous inquisitorial trial, which luckily for him ended with a simple abjuration. So let's go to a commercial break real quick, and we'll get into the second story.
This is Mikey from Out of the Ordinary, and you're watching PBDC TV.
First thing in the morning, when I'm listening to music and getting a little bit of time for some creepy research, I'm always representing with my PBDC merch. What a better way to have a cup of coffee in the morning.
Don't forget to check out our other cool merch at rootsbleedred.com. That's rootsbleedred.com.
This is Professor Edgar Fluffosaurus from Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, and when I'm not hosting Monster Chat or knocking down small Japanese cities, I'm watching PBDC TV. Now back to the show.
Hey, I'm surprised I didn't see that guy yelling at his mom because the commercial. And we're back. All right. So let's get into the next thing here. Person behind the camera, behind the screen, pull up the picture of our next person here. So prior to the stories of Giordano Bruno is a mystery that has been supposedly solved already. That is of the disappearance and reappearance of Bruno Borges, which you're seeing right now. Bruno Borges is a 24-year-old psychology student from Brazil. He came to the global prominence after creating an esoteric shrine dedicated to Giordano Bruno and disappearing after its completion. That is just Ma. Yeah, where is that guy, man? I mean, he's always in the shows yelling and stuff. Borg's mother, Denise Borges, or as I like to say, Borges. I'm not sure if it's Borges or Borges, but is a psychologist, while his father, Athos Borges, is a businessman. He has a twin brother, Rodrigo Borges, and an older sister, Gabriela Borges, and another brother. And if you could show the family photo, there's his family. Now, Bruno is the guy in the middle. That's Bruno Borges. And so in his youth, Borges loved reading books and was considered an intellectual by those around him. He has read over 1,000 books in his lifetime, ranging from the Bible to Shakespeare. Borges has been described as clever, kind-hearted, and a born leader who would help those excluded from society. He did not have any psychological problems. Bruno was a student at Unitor, a university in Rio Branco, where he studied psychology. All of his pictures in his Facebook profile were uploaded February 2nd in 2017. So, yeah, this guy, it wasn't too long ago when he went missing and stuff and reappeared and stuff. But let's get into his disappearance now. On March 27th of 2017, Bruno was discovered missing from his home. His parents had just returned from a 20-day excursion, and Bruno recently had lunch with his family. His father was the last person to see him and was the first to notice that he was gone when he noticed the drastic transformation Bruno did to his room, which was now full of occult symbolism, secret code, a large statue of Giordano Bruno. So let's show them a little bit about what they found in the room. Pull up the books. They found that painting in the room, and they found a couple books with, symbolism stuff. That's the 14 books he left behind. And all those books are encoded, but he actually wrote like a secret code, and he wanted people to find him. I guess it was something, to find him or something like that. And there's another, those paintings he did. That's of a druid or something like that. It doesn't really go much into what it was unless you really look it up. But yes, that's stuff that he left in his room. So where and how did this come to play? Let me take you more inside. In 2013, Bruno began asking for donations from family members to help fund a project he was working on. He gave few details about the project except that he was writing 14 books that would change mankind for the better. His cousin Eduardo Veloso, who read some of Bruno's work, believed in him and donated 20,000, I guess in Brazilian dollars or something. Not sure what they call it. And if anybody can actually help me out with that in the comments or something like that, let me know what they call Brazilian dollars, I guess. I'm sure there's people around the world watching this, so one of y'all's got to be from Brazil or something. Just let me know. Anyhow, so Beth says he was a Druidism part of the Druid community. I don't want to say he was part of the Druid community. That painting, I relate it to a Druid. Not really sure if it was or not. But for 24 days, Bruno had kept his room locked, working on a secret project while his parents were on vacation. His two brothers say that it took exactly 22 days for Bruno to transform his room. Okay. Psychoman Mod says Brazilian real. Okay. Gotcha. No, Beth. They don't call them euros there. Actually, Mod actually cleared that up. So, took 22 days for him to transform his room. Keisha says, "Sorry, Mikey. I know U.S. dollars, rubles, and pesos." Okay, not a problem. Well, there had to have been somebody there that actually knew something, and Mod's the one that actually, let me know. So thank you, Mod. So what was found in his room? Okay, so the pictures that I showed you are what was found in his room. So the contents pertaining to the room of Bruno left behind consist of 14 books, thousands of pages of encrypted text combined with mysterious symbols, along with references to the Bible, alchemy, demonology, Hermeticism, Leonardo da Vinci, and Giordano Bruno. In addition, Borges left trippy paintings, including one of him with an alien, which you just saw. And actually, that painting, I love that painting. I wish I could have it. I'm pretty sure he'd probably sell it for a pretty penny too. So, but you can find it on the internet, actually. I mean, that's where I found it. Bruno left behind a guide in order for people to translate his work. A computer programmer has reportedly cracked some of the code. One phrase reads, "It is easy to accept what you have been taught since childhood and what is wrong." Mod says, for the record, the Brazilian currency is the real singular and reals plural. Oh, okay. Now I just learned something. Thank you. So it is, and Kisa says Leonardo, love him. Yeah, Da Vinci was an awesome person. Also, Da Vinci did believe that there were aliens back in those days, in the biblical times too, because if you look at some of his paintings, you can see UFOs in his paintings. So it is difficult as an adult to understand that you were wrongly taught what you suspected was correct since you were a child. In other words, if you fit into the system, your behavior will be determined, making you at the mercy of beliefs already provided and well established in the dogmas and rituals with the masses. Kind of sounds familiar. I don't know. What do you guys think? At the center of the room is a giant statue of Giordano Bruno, which is a replica of one that already exists at the Campo di Fiori in Rome. Giordano Bruno was an Italian Dominican friar, philosopher, mathematician, poet, and cosmological theorist, course, we know of the 16th century. Oh, somebody actually did an angry face. Huh. Duly noted. Trying to ban me. Well, let me tell you something right now. Your angry faces and stuff like that don't bother me. Because basically, there's nothing to be angry about. This is my show, and I do what I want, and I'm doing it right. So there. Ha! Buzz off. So, he is mostly known for his unique combination of esoteric knowledge drawn from Hermeticism, Egyptian magic, and the Kabbalah with theories on the cosmos and extraterrestrial life. Many people have commented that Bruno and Giordano look similar to each other. And please, behind the camera, put up the picture of the both Brunos so people can see. Don't they have a similar resemblance? I mean, come on. The one on the left here, well, the left of me, that's Bruno. That's Bruno Borges. The other one is Giordano. So yes, they do look the same. Many people have commented that Bruno and Gio look similar to each other, as well as sharing the same name, Bruno. Oh, you too, Beth. Have a good night. So, where was Borges? Was he abducted by extraterrestrials? Was he a part of some kind of cult following? And Natalie says, so maybe he's first cousins, the Count Saint Germain. You know what? You actually have a point there, Nat. That could be possible. But some people actually claim that maybe Bruno was the reincarnation of Giordano. But let's get into it, and I'll fill you in. So let's get to Borg's return. 5 months after disappearing, Bruno returned home. Bruno stated that he left to go on a spiritual quest, which he completed 2 months after leaving, and stated he planned to return home after it. He stated that he wanted to get away from a sick society and concluded that what is plaguing society is the lack of empathy. So, in conclusion to all of this, I think that maybe Borges is the reincarnated Giordano. But I'm not the only one. Plastic artist George Rivas Plata, 83, author of the work done for Bruno Borges, he quoted as saying that he believes Bruno is the reincarnation of the philosopher burned during the Inquisition and has completed his work. Most don't understand, but I've known him for a long time. You can believe Giordano Bruno was reincarnated in him. I can't tell you anymore. The only thing I can say is that he finished the books Giordano left unfinished. Tell your father and your mother not to worry. He's fine and coming to present this beautiful, fantastic project to the world, said the sculptor, who denied knowing Bruno's whereabouts. So what do you viewers think? Is this a sham? Could Bruno Borges actually be the reincarnated Giordano? You decide. That's my show for tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. And remember to stay out of the ordinary. I'm your host, Mikey, saying good night.